I'm sitting in a crowded brewery, holding a half-empty glass, when my so-called friend looks me dead in the eye and smiles. Loud enough for the whole table to hear, he says I'm a coward who left my wife to rot on a mountain. He thought it was a hilarious joke, but he wasn't laughing an hour later, when his little punchline cost him the one thing he couldn't afford. My wife and I are what you'd call avid hikers. We spend our weekends chasing elevations that make most people dizzy. We are a solid team. I'm not the biggest or strongest guy in the world, and she is a sturdy, incredibly capable woman. We trust each other with our lives, literally. We also have a circle of friends we usually grab drinks with after long weeks. One of them is a guy I'll call Dave. Historically, Dave was a pretty decent guy, but recently he lost his job. Being out of work seemed to flip a weird switch in his brain. Instead of looking for jobs, he started adopting this bizarre, hyper-masculine bro persona to compensate for his insecurities. I don't usually hang out with guys who unironically call people alpha or beta, but we had history, so I tolerated it. That Friday, Dave asked if I could give him a ride to the local brewery to meet the group. I said, sure. What I didn't realize was that Dave was about to use my darkest memory to score cheap points. To understand what happened at the brewery, you need to understand what happened 3 years ago in the Chicago Basin. My wife and I were tackling a group of 14,000-foot peaks. The air was thin, the rocks were loose. We were making our descent down Sunlight Peak when I heard a sound I will never, ever forget. The sickening scrape of boots losing traction. I whipped around just in time to see my wife slip. She slid down the rock face and vanished over the edge. My stomach completely dropped out of my body. I scrambled to the ledge, terrified of what I was going to see. She had managed to stop her fall, but she was perched on a tiny, unstable cliff directly under the drop site. One wrong move and she was gone. I dropped to my stomach, reaching down, but the angle was impossible. There was no safe way for me to reach her from above, below, or the side. I could easily carry her weight on flat ground, but here, on a sheer vertical drop without specialized extraction gear, I was useless. The fear on her face as she looked up at me is permanently burned into my mind. For a split second, I thought I was going to watch my wife die, and there was absolutely nothing I could do to stop it. We stayed like that for hours. Me talking to her, trying to keep her calm, while my own chest felt like it was caving in. Eventually, another hiker came through the route. He had specialized climbing gear and the upper body strength needed to rig a pulley system. Together, we finally got her out. She has never, not for one single second, blamed me. We both know the technical realities of mountain rescue, but the guilt, the feeling of total helplessness, that haunts me. It is a raw nerve that has never fully healed. And Dave knew all of this. He knew exactly how much that day broke me. Fast forward to the brewery. We're sitting around a large wooden table. The beers are flowing, people are laughing. Dave is holding court, talking loudly about a trip he's planning up the Blanca to Little Bear Traverse. If you know Colorado hiking, you know that traverse is notorious. It's a mile of jagged, exposed rock. It's dangerous, and Dave was vastly underestimating it. Since my wife and I had actually completed that specific traverse a while back, I leaned forward. I offered him some genuine advice. I told him about a specific false summit to watch out for, and suggested he pack extra water, because the exposure up there drains you faster than you think. I was trying to keep him safe. I was being a friend. Dave took a slow sip of his beer. He set the glass down on a coaster. The table went slightly quiet as he turned his entire body to face me. Beat. And that's when he decided to show everyone exactly who he really was. He looks at me. The smirk on his face is entirely too wide. "Okay, bro," he says, his voice dripping with condescension. I'm not taking advice from a man who left his wife to rot on sunlight. The entire table freezes. My brain completely short circuits. I just stare at him. I literally cannot process that a human being I gave a ride to 30 minutes ago just weaponized the most traumatic day of my life for a cheap laugh. Dave looks around the table, waiting for the applause. He actually thinks this is hilarious. My wife doesn't miss a beat. She immediately leans across the table, her voice ice cold, and corrects him. She tells him exactly how out of line he is. But Dave just keeps grinning that stupid, arrogant grin. He shrugs, like he's the victim of us not being able to take a joke. I feel my hands shaking, not out of fear, out of a rage so pure and concentrated, it feels cold. I don't yell. I don't throw my drink in his face. I don't even defend myself. I simply stand up. I look at Dave's smug face one last time. Then I turn my back on him. I walk away from the table, thread my way through the crowded bar, and push through the front doors into the cool night air. My wife follows me out a minute later. She finds me standing by the car, taking deep breaths to keep my heart rate down. She touches my arm and asks if I'm okay. I look at her. I'm done. I'd like to go home. She nods. She doesn't ask questions. She pulls out her keys, unlocks the car, and we get in. She starts the engine, puts it in drive, and we leave the parking lot. We leave Dave sitting at the brewery. The same Dave who lives 30 minutes away. The same Dave who rode with me. We were halfway home when my phone started vibrating, and it didn't stop. Buzz. Where the fuck did you go, bro? Buzz. Bro, why are you ignoring me? Buzz. Dude, are you serious? I didn't answer. I went home, took a shower, and sat on my couch. Finally, I picked up my phone. I sent him one single message. Why would you bring up the worst day of my life when you know exactly how it affects me? His response? A barrage of emojis pointing and laughing. But then came the real message, the one that proved exactly why leaving him was the right choice. He sent a furious paragraph complaining that my hypersensitivity just cost him a small fortune. Because we left without a word, he didn't realize his ride was gone until the bar closed. He had to order a late-night surge pricing Uber to get back to his house. It was an incredibly expensive ride. And remember, Dave is unemployed. That little joke hit him exactly where it hurt the most, his rapidly depleting bank account. He told me I needed to nut up and learn to laugh at myself. I think he's the one who needs to learn that actions have consequences, especially expensive ones. What do you guys think? Was I the asshole for leaving him stranded without a word? Or did he absolutely deserve that expensive Uber ride home? Let me know in the comments. Hit subscribe for more stories. See you in the next one.